Item: SCP-1310. Code name: Examination Room 10. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures: the building containing SCP-1310 has been designated Site. It is to have the appearance of being condemned and awaiting demolition. The door leading to SCP-1310 is to be opened for at least 20 out of 24 hours per day, in order to minimize possibility of generation events. All specimens emerging from SCP-1310 are to be detained for questioning. Following the questioning session, all specimens of SCP-1310-A, B and C are to be treated with Protocol England 1310 to 1384. Description: SCP-1310 is the designation for Examination Room 10 at the former, redacted, Pediatric Center located on the campus of the, redacted, Medical Center in Ohio. SCP-1310 has the dimensions of 5 meters x 3 meters x 5 meters. The room is designed for simple medical examinations of individuals under 18 years of age, and is decorated with an animal-themed mural on the western wall. It has all the typical apparatuses of a mundane medical examination room, such as a case for syringe disposal, a sink, a supply of gauze and tongue depressors, and an examination table. SCP-1310 enters an active state when the door to the room is closed for, on average, a span of 5 minutes and 43 seconds. After that time has passed, at least one human being will emerge from SCP-1310, having been generated within the room's confines. The process by which the generation is done is not understood, and attempts to record the inside of the SCP-1310 during the generation process have resulted in failure of all electronic equipment. The generated humans will fall under 3 specific categories: 1 under the age of 18, hereafter designated SCP-1310-A, and 1 which the first specimen will usually treat as its parent or guardian, SCP-1310-B. In some cases, a third specimen, SCP-1310-C, will be generated, identifying itself as a doctor or nurse employed at, redacted, pediatrics. These subjects will have memories that correspond to actual people and locations in the town of redacted, and surrounding areas. However, these memories are fabricated. No records of any instances of SCP-1310-A and B have been found as of the date of writing. 20. Despite items such as social security cards and driver's licenses being found on several of the specimens. Addendum 1310 to 1301. Following the acquisition of SCP-1310, instances of SCP-1310-A, B and C ceased appearing for a 4-month period. Believing there to be a link between the status of the redacted pediatrics facility and the appearance of SCP-1310-A and B, Dr. the researcher overseeing containment of SCP-1310, ordered the clinic be opened and operated as normal for a period of 3 months. During that time, new instances of SCP-1310-A appeared, with the same number of SCP-1310-B instances of SCP-1310-C were generated as well. See document 1310 to 1302 for details. Document 1310 to 1302. I knew I was onto something. If we let patients into the clinic, SCP-1310 outputs new instances of SCP-1310-A and B. I have formulated a theory that SCP-1310 exists simultaneously in at least 2, if not more, universes. When the door to SCP-1310 is closed in both the opposing universe, S, and in this one, then SCP-1310 reroutes the people within the room to this universe. The only discernible difference between our universe and theirs is that instances of SCP-1310-A and B do not exist in our universe. Request testing to see if interuniversal travel is possible using SCP-1310. If so, then perhaps we could get into contact with the other universe's Foundation Dr. Dr. S request has been approved. Testing is scheduled to begin 726. 200 121 200 3 12 200. Edit 75200. It has been almost a year since Doctor has requested testing with SCP-1310, but has not been able to test, as D-Class have not been requisitioned to him for testing. This issue is to be remedied ASAP. Final edit. 712-200. DR has cancelled testing, citing a lack of test subjects. 05. Incident 1310-B31. On the 20th of May 2020, SCP-1310 was opened for cleaning, and a single specimen of SCP-1310-B was found inside, with no accompanying SCP-1310-A or C. SCP-1310-B31 identified himself as Charles Friedman and stated that he had been an employee of the Foundation for the past 5 years. SCP-1310-B31 was taken into custody and interviewed. The following is a transcript of this interview. Begin log. Dr. : You said that you worked for the Foundation. Why should we? SCP-1310-B31. I didn't just work for the Foundation. I was your research assistant. You went on for hours about your bullcrap theories about it. Dr. : How fortuitous. And, if you were my research assistant in this other universe, what, pray tell, were you doing inside of SCP-1310? SCP-1310-B31. You asked no. You told me to go in there. Then the door shut, and when I came out, nobody remembered who I was. Dr. : Because you do not exist in this universe. Now, you claim to have a girlfriend named SCP-1310-B31. Oh my god. SCP-1310-B31 sighs loudly. Get your head out of your ass. Dr. : Excuse me. SCP-1310-B31. Ever hear of a Cam's razor? What's a simpler explanation? The room porting people over from other universes at complete random. Or people from this universe going into 1310 and entirely erasing people from this timeline? Dr. : Don't be absurd. All the evidence suggests. SCP-1310-B31. Chew on this for a second, then. You remember all the times you were going to test it on humans? See if they could go into other universes? How the tests never happened. What if they did happen, and nobody remembers it? Because that's now how SCP-1310 works. Dr. : I think we're done here. SCP-1310-B31. No, we aren't. And one last thing. I know about all the specimens emerging from 1310 that you never reported. There must have been, what, 12 of them? Maybe more? All in D-Class uniforms. Dr. : Guard. Escort him out. SCP-1310-B31. Sounds of struggling. Listen to me. You hid data. SCP-1310-B31 directly addresses the microphone. I have proof. Listen to me. At this point, SCP-1310-B31 was sedated and escorted out of the room. End log. While I will admit that he did have some valid information on the Foundation, there is no evidence to suggest that I hid evidence. In the other universe, perhaps, but in baseline, there is no reason for me to hide evidence. What would I gain from it? Hopefully, we can get Protocol England 1310 to 1384 over with and make sure he never tries to bother us again. Dr. In a follow-up interview conducted by Foundation Security at site, SCP-1310-B31 directed staff to Dr. S' office, where a file containing photographs of unknown SCP-1310-B subjects was located, along with several notes regarding the alleged missing data. All SCP-1310-B subjects were wearing D-Class uniforms. Due to the gross incompetence displayed by Dr. regarding SCP-1310, his employment has been terminated as of the 20th of April 2020. Containment procedures will be updated by the Antimemetics Division in accordance with the findings presented by SCP-1310-B31. 05.